Fred Thompson is a co-chair of the National Popular Vote campaign, and he joins us now. Senator, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Savannah.
All right, well, make your pitch. I mean, some people, and Chuck Todd's going to join us too. I think he may be among them. They like the old school. The Constitution had the Electoral College in it, and it's hard to give it up. But what's your point on the popular vote and why that should be the real determinant on who wins the presidential election?
Well, you know, I've just kind of got tired of trying to explain to school kids why if you elect a class president or a homecoming queen, it's who gets the most votes wins, but when you elect the president of the United States, it's not necessarily the case. I think that it's an idea whose time has come. I've looked at it from both standpoints, but I think a couple of things at the outset are important to keep in mind. And number one is this is not going against the Founding Fathers. It's not going against the Constitution. It's not even amending the Constitution, and it's not doing away with the Electoral College. The Founding Fathers gave the states the option of choosing their electors however they wanted to. And they've chosen them different ways at different times in our history. One of the ways that they have at their disposal is to say we'll cast our electors according to who wins the national vote. And that's what we're suggesting. What we have now is a system where, as you indicated, where a handful of states determine who's going to be president. They get all of the attention, they get all of the money, they get all the campaign appearances, and they get all of the attention between elections. I mean, you can see policy decisions being made clearly based upon who's a swing state and who's not. A handful of swing states, everybody else is kind of flyover territory, and I think a vote in Tennessee ought to count as much as a vote in California. So that's why I come down on, on this way, and I'm being joined by former Governor Chet Culver of Iowa and former Governor Edgar of Illinois in this.
Senator Thompson, you are right about trying to explain the Electoral College. There's a book I read to my 7-year-old daughter sometimes called Grace for President. It tries. It's not easy. Wyoming in that book is the swing state. But let me ask you this. What do you say to the small states? Because you're right about this policy issue. I mean, state of Iowa, probably the greatest example. It's huge both in the primary process and in the general election as a swing state. But what do you say to the small states, which right now do get an opportunity, and they're going to be worried that all these presidential candidates are going to do is spend their time in New York, Florida, Texas, and California?
Nobody pays any attention to the small states now. The small states are pretty much evenly divided between red states and blue states. And you have about half of them that are heavily Republican. You have the other half that's heavily Democratic. And they're taken for granted. And what I'm suggesting is a way to where a person's vote in Wyoming would count just as much as a person's vote in New York. Same thing is true, incidentally, with large states. Some people say, well, the large states will dominate, the large cities will dominate. In the first place, Los Angeles can't even dominate California in their elections that they have out there. But the large states are pretty evenly divided also. You have about 6 that are red states, 6 or 7 that are blue states, and heavily one way, heavily the other. Nobody pays any attention to them. It's just those handful of swing states that sometimes can be as few as 5 that everybody pays attention to, and who, in effect, wind up making the decision as to who's going to be our president, and I think is more conducive to fraud than any system that we've got today.